here's Chris Maher, host of FFM93 Live.
All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back here to the podcast. This is a very, very, very special episode here of FFM93 Live. Welcome, everybody tuning in now. As in just a couple of minutes here, Mark Recchi, the former Flyer, longtime NHL career, Hockey Hall of Fame, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. Just so many things that I can mention about Mark Recchi. He will be joining me here at 7 o'clock. Talk about his career as a Flyer, all of that different stuff. So again, thanks everybody so much for coming out and tuning in. After the interview with Mark Recchi, we're going to go right into some Flyers talk and some recent things for the last couple of games here, like I normally do on the podcast. Just tweeting this out here for a second, just so we can get some more viewership in here. But again, unfortunately for the Flyers at the moment, not doing too hot. They're now on a 6-game losing streak. And it's been a little bit unfortunate, I guess, for the last handful of games, especially last night's game. What a killer end to that one. I talked about that in the game recap. And just a really, really, really unfortunate way for that game to kind of just end. You're up, you do a lot of good things, and towards the end of that game, and unfortunately, with 1.9 seconds to go, the game is tied. But again, we'll talk about that later on. And for now, Mark Recchi, I think is one of the, he's one of the guys that, in me, like watching old games and watching like a lot of like old different things, I really noticed a lot of Mark Recchi and kind of how he played. He was always just like a really solid player. Just looking at the numbers, right? He's got 25 goals, 25 assists. He's even in pretty much every stat. He was always just a real good forward. And when he came here originally in the Taka trade, and he put up the 123-point season a couple years after winning the cup in Pittsburgh and all that different stuff, that which is still a record today for the Flyers. One thing I do want to say, though, this is call in or text. If you want to text 267-939-1216, just I won't be taking any calls until after the Recchi interview. So once Recchi kind of drops out, then we'll go from there. But again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We got 8 people in here already. Thanks everybody. Always appreciate the support. Again, we're just waiting here for Recchi to kind of hop in. It's very exciting for me. This is one of the bigger gets that I've had, so I'm very excited for this one. Me and my dad, we've been kind of talking about it the last couple of days, and real excited, really, really excited. And here he is now, Mark Recchi. Let's get the here we go. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How you doing?
Good. How are you? So here he is, Mark Recchi. Mark, this is going to be a long intro. Mark Recchi, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 13th all-time in scoring in the National Hockey League, 2017 Hockey Hall of Fame inductee, part of one of the best lines in Flyers history, in the Crazy Eights line, former Flyer for 2 stints in the early 90s and 2000s. So many different things. Mark Recchi, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. How you doing? You've been...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Things.
I mean, I guess kind of where to start. You obviously had a long career. You played a lot of games, over 1,600 games. Kind of growing up for you in BC, was that kind of like instilled in you? Like, obviously growing up in Canada, just kind of like playing hockey, like picking up a hockey stick kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and my three brothers, we played, we grew up playing hockey and, street hockey every day out in the street after school and all day during the summer. And, we were always, you know, doing something with a hockey stick and playing and whether we were shooting just on each other or whatever. So, or just have a street hockey game. And, when the cars would come around the corner, you have to stop and,
Yeah.
cars would come through. So it was, obviously a lot of fun.
Right, definitely, and it's funny, like, I can kind of relate to that too a little bit from playing street hockey growing up, and screaming car to all my buddies. Um, Kind of going off of that, when growing up and playing ice hockey for you, did you have that like kind of feeling that like I can maybe make the NHL? Like, was that instilled to you from the beginning? Like you wanted to make the NHL, from playing hockey growing up?
We had dreams of playing in NHL for sure, but I never really thought it was a reality until I hit probably like 17, 18, and I started to realize that I had a chance to at least get to pro hockey and see where it went from there. So
Mhm.
I definitely it wasn't till then, but I always wanted to. I mean, that's what you do. You dream of you dream of playing in NHL as a young Canadian kid, and it was ended up coming to fruition. But it did. It wasn't until a little older.
Right, right, for sure. So you were drafted by Pittsburgh, fourth round in the 1988 draft. You played a couple years in Pittsburgh, obviously won a Stanley Cup, played with some really good players. But kind of going off of that a little bit to when you were traded to the Flyers in the Rick Tocchet trade, did you kind of see that coming? Because you're a young player, had a 113-point season in Pittsburgh. You guys just won the cup. Like, was that like kind of crazy for you, or was that just like you kind of had an idea it was coming?
No, I had no idea it was coming. And it's pretty heartbreaking at the time. You grow up with these guys. You played 3-4 years and played the minors with some of them, and
Hmm.
you win a championship together. So it hurt. It hurt, but I was going to a younger rebuilding team. They were in that process of turning, doing some rebuild, and you take it for what it is. And my time in Philadelphia was great. So the only thing that we never accomplished here. We got to the semis twice, game 7. We just didn't quite get to the Stanley Cup and win a championship for the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people look back at '04, and kind of how close that you guys were to winning the cup. This is a little bit off topic from the way that I was trying to go, but when you look at it from 2004 and how Game 7 played out, and everything that you guys went through that year, did you guys actually think? I mean, looking back on it, if you
Mhm.
guys win Game 7, how confident were you guys to, at least be able to win a cup there in '04?
Yeah, well, the both years we went to game 7, we really believed that we could win.
Mhm.
And we had a great belief in ourselves. We had a great dressing room. We had a great, close, tight group. And, we really believed we could win. And, we just came up a little bit short, but it wasn't from lack of confidence with each other and understanding that, we were close as a team and we wanted to, we were willing to do whatever it took. And unfortunately, you run into, it just didn't happen, and and it's too bad. Really, it's too bad because we had some special groups there.
For sure. And especially like 2000 and then in '04. I mean, it was a lot of close games and some real good goaltending and all that stuff. But kind of going back to when you first came to Philly, you were on the Crazy Eights line
Mhm.
with Brent Fedek and Eric Lindros. What clicked with that line? I mean, I'm curious, has anyone ever told you the amount of points that has ever been total between you three players in the 3 years that you guys played together on that line, or no?
No, no, I didn't. No idea.
Five. It was 586 total in 3 years.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow,
It,
that is a lot.
yeah.
That is a lot. Yeah, you know what? For whatever reason, we really clicked. We both Fedek and I both played our off wings.
Mhm.
He was a right shot and he played the left, and and obviously Big E was, he was an absolute force. And
Right.
Incredible player. And I think we just complemented each other well. We all could skate. We were good skaters back then. We were all competitive. We would go to the net, and it was a fun line to be part of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially because, putting up the 123 points and then following that up the following year, it seemed like, and just going back and watching old games, it was just, you guys knew exactly where everybody was. And, it just clicks really easily. In that first tenure when you were here in Philly, and I'm gonna play this video here. I'm not sure if you probably do remember this, that Elio's pizza commercial that was,
God,
that you guys were in.
Yeah.
How was that? And I'll play it here, and then we'll get to the question.
Philly's hottest line.
You want the pizza?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Sounds good.
I'll make it.
Yeah, right. You can cook.
What's this?
McCain Elio's pizza is easy to make, tastes delicious, and comes in different varieties, like healthy slices, 97% fat-free and low cholesterol, and a Flyer's favorite, 9-slice cheese.
This tastes great. There's only one left. Thanks, guys.
McCain Elio's pizza. It's Philly's hot.
So
amazing acting there, eh? I don't know how it happened. I can't remember, but I know it. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Somebody actually not long ago brought that commercial up to me as well, and I was laughing. So yeah, we were such great actors. It was, but it was fun. We had a good time with it, though. So yeah, but.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny. I was talking to Bill Meltzer, and he was kind of saying that Joe Watson that was kind of something that like Joe Watson kind of put together, because it was like in the like, and I actually never knew this when it was a thing, but like there were like incentives, I guess, in the contract for older players to kind of get like marketing deals and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it was put together. But obviously going off of that, Mark, that second tenure when you came here, you were in that trade from coming from Montreal back to Philly for Dana Zubris. For me, like when I go back and just look at the numbers, it seemed like you were more of like a complete player. You obviously had the 123 points and then 107. Obviously went down a little bit. You got older and stuff like that. Did you kind of feel like you were more like a complete player? Like obviously you're a veteran kind of guy, like coming back to Philly in that second stint late in the late 90s, like early 2000s.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you grow older and you tend to become more responsible and growing up was pretty offensive minded. I could always play defensively well, but sometimes it's just you didn't. So
Right.
it's not like you didn't know how, but you could become definitely more that's how you're going to win a championship again and be a part of something and being good defensively and being responsible and being a leader. And that's part of being a leader is taking those steps in those areas.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I mean, especially for having all the the games played and all that stuff up until that point. And kind of going off of that too, was it a little different too, at least like knowing the city beforehand, since you kind of knew like how Philly was and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. It was great. It was an easy adjustment just to come back and it was seamless, and came right back in and the year I got traded, I didn't, I was just okay. And then that next year I thought thought we really took a huge step as a team, and it was fun to be part of. And that was the next year when we lost in the Game 7 as well. So, but it's unfortunately Roger got sick, and he was sick at the time, and we really became a tight family.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. If you were able to kind of like sum it up in general, are there any like favorite moments that you have from playing in Philadelphia in the two stints that you had? If there was one, and I know that's probably hard, but if there's at least one, could you pick one or no?
No, it's hard. You have so many great memories, and those couple teams, like when you have the Keith Jones, Chris Terrians,
Mm-hmm.
Craig Rubies, and they're just we had so much fun together, like we really did, and Robert Esch, and you go kind of down the list. I know I'm missing guys, and obviously Johnny Leclerc was, we had a lot of fun together and as a group, and just that. I mean, the one couple brawl, we had a couple brawls I thought that were a lot of fun to be part of. The game's changed a lot obviously now, but it was pretty neat to be part of something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and the Broad Street Bullies, and obviously the Flyers fans, they were very into it, so it was stuff like that. But obviously just getting to the game sevens, like getting there, getting so close was hard, like we really believed in ourselves, and it, so, but no real individual, like I scored, I think I scored I scored 400 there, my 400 there, which was, obviously a neat milestone.
Mm-hmm.
I think I played my 1,000th game there in Philadelphia. We got 1,000 point in Philadelphia. So, there's some great memories that way, but those are individual stuff that I don't, I'd rather, more or less talk about the team stuff.
Right, for sure. No, and I feel like that's fair too. I mean, from having such a big career, obviously, you won 3 Stanley Cups, all not in Philly, Pittsburgh in '91, Carolina in '06, and Boston in 2011. What was so special about those 3 teams? If you could kind of sum it up a little bit. I mean, obviously, Pittsburgh team was very dominant force. Carolina, from all the players that you guys had, and even Boston, from the comeback down 2-0 early in the series against Vancouver. And I know it's off topic from the Flyers a little bit, but how could you kind of, is there anything that you kind of sum up or maybe take away from those teams?
Well, you know what? We had the same teams when we lost in those games in 7, like with the Flyers, so we can tie the Flyers in, because when you have that special bond, and you know what, we just didn't get that one, maybe that one big play, that one,
Right.
whatever, the one break that we needed, and because through 4 series, you're gonna need some breaks, and you're gonna have to get some bounces your way, and that's all those teams that when you're that close and you're a great group, when you believe in each other and you believe in what you're doing, that's the difference. That's the difference. I mean, we had great coaching. Obviously, you got to have great coaching, but you got to believe in what you were doing, and that's that our group did. And every team I won a cup with, like, we truly believed in what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish and trying to get to. And like I said, we just in Philadelphia just unfortunately didn't have those breaks, and we got those breaks. I got those breaks in the other 3 opportunities that I got.
Right, for sure. And again, I feel like that's a great answer, because a lot of that is can be kind of tied into certain things that happened, and things that didn't happen for you guys, and kind of going off of that, you're obviously in the Hockey Hall of Fame. In 2017, you were inducted. Did you have any idea that was coming, and what was your at least legit reaction when that happened?
Well, obviously, it was incredible. I didn't know if I would ever get in, and obviously that's the icing on the cake of of a career, and the ultimate pinnacle. And I played with a lot of Hall of Fame guys as well, and to be part of that group is incredible to me. It's like I never even dreamed. I mean, I've always said this. I thought if I could play 5 years in NHL, that would have been unbelievable. But to play 20 plus years and then get that opportunity to get in the Hall of Fame it was just beyond belief for me even. And when Lanny McDonald called me, it was incredible. And it couldn't have been a better time, because my parents were actually in town. Were in town visiting me, so it worked out great. And
right,
yeah, and I was working for the Penguins at the time, and we were in meetings. So I saw the Toronto call, and I ran out of the office, and my dad happened to be at the rink as well, waiting, and he was just kind of wandering around. So I went and told him. It was great. I was able to tell him first, and then call my mom and my wife, and then obviously my kids, get a hold of all my kids and telling them. And then, obviously I ran back into the room and, Jimmy Rutherford and Mike Sullivan and, the group of great guys that, I'd been part of management, winning a couple as well with them. So, to be able to share it with them was really cool as well.
Right, for sure. And it honestly, that's awesome, kind of going off that, because like, obviously you said like, your family in town and all that stuff. So it's perfect timing off of that. It's funny. I was looking at your numbers and stats and stuff, and you played the 1 year in Atlanta, and I have to ask, how was that? Was that anything different? Playing as a Thrasher?
You know what? It was a really good setup they had there. And it's just really unfortunate that never, they just couldn't get a team. They had the 1 year, they made the playoffs, they lost 4 straight. But, in 10 years, you don't make the playoffs. It's really hard to build your base, but they had a great practice facility. The arena was actually really cool. It's different than when they had all the suites on one side with a little bit of stands. So it was different setup, but I did enjoy it there. I mean, I got to play, Marian Hossa was there, Kovalchuk, so we played some pretty good players there as well. And, that was just, that was a opportunity to prolong my, to show people I could still play.
Right.
And and then moving to Tampa the next year, getting that same opportunity, just to show people I could, you can still, be a part of a team, you can help a team be successful. And that's what, that's what I wanted to do there. And it did help me. And it was a good setup. It was nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and again, I feel like everybody looks at kind of like what you said, like how, they didn't make the playoffs and all that stuff. And it's kind of looked at as just like a meme, throughout the NHL. But obviously, Mark, you were, recent coach of the New Jersey Devils, and obviously, like you mentioned, coaching in Pittsburgh. Are you still looking to kind of coach in the league, or are you kind of done with that?
You know what? Yeah, I think I'm done with it, but you never know. I really honestly prefer the management side. I do like the manager. I do like the building of a team. That's that just love being part of that. Okay, you're piecing together a team, you're putting together a team, whether it's drafting, free agents, getting your players up from the minors, your draft picks, making sure they develop properly. And I just really love being part of that. So, we'll see. I'm just kind of taking my time right now, and there's not a lot going on in the league anyways right now. It's, it's still early. So, I'm kind of just taking a little bit of a break here, enjoying my family and watching my other kids play hockey and, get to spend time with them as well.
Yeah. And again, I feel like that's perfect. I mean, especially for, for all the years that you played. For right now, kind of going off that, is there anything that you're doing on the side? Any other hobbies that you like doing?
Not doing a whole lot. I mean, it's getting too cold to golf now. I was golfing quite a bit, so now it's too darn cold. So,
are you a good golfer?
But actually, I'm okay. I'm okay at times. So it's more of a social event for me to go out and have a few drinks with my buddies and play some golf and laugh and play some music. So I'm not the typical, I don't get mad if I hit a bad shot, and I just, we just have a good time. So, but I enjoy it. So I enjoy it. I mean, I'm probably like a 10 or 12 handicap. So, I'm probably right in there, that range. So, it's good enough. It's good enough. It's not, it's not great. So my son kills me. So.
Yeah, I hear you, because again, like golf is one of those games where I see so many hockey players are into it, and I've never been able to get into it. I'm not sure why. I'd love to, and it's funny, I might actually start trying to do that maybe when it gets a little warmer out in the spring. Kind of going off of that, again, from going back and looking at some old clips and stuff, I actually heard that when you were younger, you attended Joe Watson's NHL camp. How was that? And kind of how did you get into that? From at a young age like that.
Yeah, well, Joe was a family friend. He was friends with my dad from way back. Joe played in Kamloops. They played softball together. And Joe played a little bit there for hockey, and then we just got to be good friends. And obviously being there, and I think he's the best. Like he's still passionate as ever right now. It's like I went and did the the alumni thing, the fantasy camp this last summer, and it was awesome. We had a blast, and Joe was there, and he hasn't changed a bit. He's chirping at the guys, and I was like, oh man, the fire's still there for him. And so then, and I've been up to his charity event up in Smithers as well.
Okay.
With me and my dad went up there. I couldn't make it this past year, but I think he does it every other year now. So, but yeah, he's just a great guy and a great friend, and that's we've stayed in touch and throughout the years.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah. And again, I mean, I was, honestly, I think like looking back at old stuff like that and seeing, you as a young age, like, making the NHL and going to older NHLers and stuff. And, it's funny you say that about Joe, because he's on Twitter like all the time, and he's actually got a book coming out with Bill Meltzer. I think it's at like wintertime around next year, around 2023. So again, that's going to be exciting to come out as well. But kind of going back to when you were here in Philly, obviously you played with the Crazy Eights line, like I mentioned, but how good was Eric Lindros? Like, I'm not too sure. Like, are you able to actually put that into words, like how good Lindros was?
Well, the combination of the physical size, the strength, the skating. He's one of the top players, to play the game, and it really, sucks that he had, what happened to him, and because he would have been one of the top players to play in the NHL, and he still is, but because of his size and that, it just got shortchanged, and it's too bad, because he was a special player, and you get a little bit more size nowadays, but you still, that combination he had was pretty incredible.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, if honestly, I mean, I don't really know if there's a player I could compare him to in the NHL now. Maybe like a Tom Wilson, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel like Ovechkin. I guess with just more of the, obviously the goals. But I feel like today's game, there isn't as many, obviously fights and big hits and stuff like that. How much have you kind of noticed that the game's kind of, changed in that direction? Like, obviously you weren't like I don't want to say you weren't a physical player, but you weren't always, a fighter and things like that. How much have you kind of noticed that the game's kind of changed, I guess, throughout, from you playing and then obviously coaching recently?
Yeah, it's evolved from the 80s to 90s to 2000s, and now it's just it's a really fast, skilled game, but you still got to have some jam. You still have to. You're not going to win if you don't have jam, and that that just means going to the net, getting inside, and that's what the difference is. We did that anyways, but everybody had to fight back in in when they first came, no matter what. Like you fought at some point, when I didn't fight a lot, but you stuck up for your teammates and you did all that, and there's just now it's, the game is okay, the jam is okay, you got to get to the net, you got to get inside, you got to take a hit to make a play. Those are all the same things, but you don't need to be, you can't cross-check anybody anymore, and that guys used to just wail away, and you had to deal with it, and so there's no reason for players to be scared nowadays, like or nervous, or I shouldn't say scared, maybe nervous. Like they're a little careful out there, and am I going to get hit? Am I not going to get hit? Because it's it's just not a lot of that. So the skilled guys can really play, and which is good, which is fine. But you still need to, if you're going to win championships, you look at the teams that have won, they've got a lot of jam still, they play hard, they play the right way. They block shots. They got to have some balls, and I don't know if you're allowed to even say that anymore, but
right. No, I hear it. And again, I feel like that's the thing. Like, a lot of teams now, they have that grinding type fourth line that has that checker, the guy that kind of drives play. One team that I actually see that a lot with now, and they've struggled in, this past year is the New York Islanders. You know, having that fourth line, Matt Martin with Zizekas and Clutterbuck, like they have that physical presence. Flyers have it now with you know, signing Nick Delorier and things like that. But you know, kind of going off that with the Flyers now, I you know, obviously from coaching recently, but have you kept up this year at all with the Flyers or anything like that, or maybe just hockey in general?
Yeah, hockey. Yeah, I've kept up with hockey in general. I've watched probably a game a night, so I've seen them a couple times.
Okay.
I love Torts, so you know,
Okay.
so I thought it was, you know, a great, you know, I thought it was a good move. So I think he's a really good coach. You know, he's a perfect guy to come in there and, you know, build a culture and build a winning culture, and you know, there's no, obviously, as you know, being there, there's no filter, and he, you know,
Right.
tells it like it is, which is awesome, and it really is. So yeah, I've watched a couple games, and you know, and obviously I always cheer for the Flyers. So except if I was coaching for the other team or you know, playing for the other team, but you know, they're, you know, I played there long, you know, I played a long time there, and you know, still passionate about it, and I hope they can get it turned around and get it going where, you know, the direction where the, you know, the city of Philadelphia can be proud of them again.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like a lot of that is going back and looking at the roots, and I did that over the summer. I mean, from last year and how tough it was, and I watched old games, and I think more of it was more playoff highlights and seeing like the, you know, the stadium just electric. You know, and kind of going off that too, I wanted to ask this a little earlier, but you know, you played in obviously, you know, two different stints with the Flyers, but different arenas. So you played in the Spectrum, and then you played at, I think it was the Wachovia. I think it was named Wachovia, and I'm not too sure. Or
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But you know, how different were those buildings? And obviously, the Spectrum is the Spectrum.
Well, the Spectrum was the Spectrum, and that was a really tough building to play in. But yeah, you know. Yeah, teams didn't really, you know, playing on the visiting side, it wasn't a very comfortable place to go in and play. But you know what, they did a remarkable. They, you know, Mr. Snyder obviously did a terrific job with the new building, and it still has a great atmosphere in there. Which is, you know, sometimes you get into a new building, you don't always have that same atmosphere. And you know, he did such a good job with it, and you know, building an arena that still kept the atmosphere, it was still good. You know, it was a little bigger. It's just new. It was not new, but you know, the fans, you know, you felt good in there. You like the arena was just, it's a fun place to play. You know, as a home team.
Right. No,
if
for sure.
If you're playing well.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, you know, when the Flyers are playing well and everything's going right, everybody loves them. And it's not just the Flyers, it's all Philly sports. When it's going bad, it's going bad, and it's not going to change. But you know, kind of going off that, probably last question here, how would you kind of sum up your career? I mean, you obviously, again, played so many games and had so many moments. You know, when you at least got drafted in the NHL, did you have like a set of goals that you wanted to accomplish? And for you right now, like as of today, do you kind of feel like you accomplished them or no?
Yeah, I think I over accomplished really. Like I said, I was hoping to play 5 years, and if you know, I thought that would be unbelievable if I could get 5 years in the NHL and just, you know, and then go from there. But you know, I never even imagined 22 years and you know, playing, you know, 1600 plus games, and like, you know, I never imagined it in my wildest dreams. So you know, you know, I loved it. I loved my teammates. I loved every place I played. I mean, I was just very fortunate to be able to do it and play the game I love, and you know, make a living on it, and meeting a lot of great people in every city I played. So I mean, I just think it's you know, I'm one of the luckiest. You know, I think, you know, we're the luckiest people in the world. We get to do what we absolutely love to do, and you know, you actually get paid for it. So, which is pretty cool. So.
Right, for sure. Again, Mark, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Again, such a good career and all of that stuff. Best of luck moving forward with everything you're doing, and hopefully I can have you back on soon.
Anytime. Look forward to it. It's great meeting you.
You too.
Good
Thanks,
talking.
Mark.
All right. You're welcome. Anytime. Cheers.
There he is, everybody. Mark Recchi coming to the podcast. Really good stuff. Really, really fun. Recchi coming on. Really good conversation. I feel like I kind of hit just about every topic I wanted to, honestly. And, we went through, 35 minutes about that. So, again, really, really fun stuff. I thought that, to me, the best thing was the Ilios commercial. That, and it's funny that, from learning on how that kind of happened, I saw that on YouTube the other night. I was just cracking up. But again, anybody, want to call in, all that stuff, hitting the unfortunate, I guess, Flyers topics since, the 6-game losing streak and all of that other stuff. Thanks a lot, Dad. I appreciate it. Philly Ghost, what's up, man? One of my best memories was number 8 playoff goal versus Toronto in the 04 playoffs. Yes, for sure. Again, a lot of memories with Mark Recchi and from his career. And that was one of the interviews that I was more, I guess, nervous. But I'm getting a call here from my dad. Let me answer this one. Go ahead, Dad. You're on the air.
Yo,
what's up?
I just want to say that was a fantastic interview. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you, man.
Thanks, Dad.
Love you, bud.
Love you.
All right, man.
That's it? That's all you got?
I'm still I can't believe you got it.
All right, yeah.
I really can't. A great interview.
Thanks.
The Ilios commercial. Classic.
It was great.
You definitely did your homework.
Thanks, Dad.
Well done.
All right. I'll see you. All right. Enjoy that concert. I'll see you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. My dad's at a concert right now. That's why I said that. I forget what band he's saying. He's probably gonna bust my balls if when he hears me talk about that. Thank you, Emmy. Appreciate it. That's my girlfriend. Always good stuff. Again, if anybody wants to call in, go ahead. We got 16 people in here right now. Yeah, that was really fun. I was really, really excited. My mom getting a little excited there. Yeah, so the Flyers right now, I can't believe I got to go from Mark Recchi into this. 6 games in a row they have lost. Last night, wow, just what a great ending to last night's game, huh? I mean, Jesus. So the Flyers lose last night, 5-4 in a shootout to the Montreal Canadiens, and it wasn't just the last second goal. It wasn't any of that stuff. I think the more frustrating thing of it is just the unfortunate luck. Susan Lowe, thank you so much. Thanks for doing this, Chris. Mark Recchi was one of my favorite players. Loved the interview. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Susan. Carter H. double doink was unreal for Frost. It was. It 100% was. And it's like, dude, they couldn't have had worse luck in the shootout. I mean, you go from... And it's not even just the shootout, it's the game. Okay, you lost Konechny against Boston, all right? Then you go into New Jersey, or Montreal. I'm saying New Jersey. Now I'm getting mixed up because Recchi coached in New Jersey. You go into Montreal, okay? You play Montreal, and from there, right, you're up. You had a great start. Okay, you're up 2-0 in the first couple of minutes. And then a couple minutes later, 2-1, and then 5-on-3 undisciplined penalty, and that's it. I mean, you go from there. You're tied, and at the end of the second, you're up, and the ending of the game, oh my gosh! I mean, first of all, I don't blame Torts at all for calling out Cates or Brown or anything like that. He's gonna do that. It's nothing different, and it's not. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been here, how long you've been in the league. It doesn't matter. He's gonna do that. And again, the Farabee Tippett and Farabee Frost and Tippett line reading it from left to right. Carter H saying hope Frost, Tippett, and Farabee stay together. 100%. It's so unfortunate because I probably said this like 2-3 weeks ago that this line should have been together or Frost should have been bumped up. Anyway, I'm not going to continue to repeat myself because I've only said it, maybe I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. I've said it a lot on the podcast, like over and over and over again. And I'm just like, finally they put it together. And the line was good. The line was really good. It wasn't just the fact that Tippett scored twice. It was the fact that they drove play, had 16 chances, 4-11 against. They generated majority of the Flyers play. And look, when you have Couturier, Atkinson, Van Riemsdyk, Konechny, and now Scott Lawton out, that's going to be your line that's going to drive play. I mean, it's not going to be Kevin Hayes because, quite frankly, I haven't really liked Hayes as that much of the season. He's been okay. He's got a good amount of points, and for his style of play, he's a very I'm not going to harp on him. It's just he's not a 1C. And that's the thing. He's got 18 points in 18 games. Had the go-ahead goal last night for the Flyers. Ended up blowing that. And I know everybody's going to talk about Caulfield. And I will still say that, York is a projected better pick than Caulfield. And he's more valuable anyway. Like, one could be better than the other one, but like, I'd rather have the defenseman than the, winger. And like, you can get, look, I get Caulfield's a shooter. And at that time, the Flyers probably did need a shooter. But like, I'm sorry, I can't. And honestly, they made up for it too. I mean, they get Forrester. They've had other players as well. Tuamala can shoot the puck. They've drafted all these guys, but like, it's only because Caulfield is making a legitimate impact on a not really great team. So look, it happens. I mean, it's just a brutal way to lose a game. It really is. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. You lose that game 5-4, and the skills competition, which is, I'm talking about the shootout. I don't look at the shootout. I mean, as much as like, oh, you should have made this move. Like, I don't even do that. And the week ahead for the Flyers, you have Calgary tomorrow, at home, and the Flames. They haven't been great this year. They've been okay. They have lost some pretty key games. They did win on Saturday afternoon in Florida, 5-4 to shootout, which was a real good game is what it seemed like. I caught some of it. So the Flyers will take on the Flames on Monday night. They're going into Washington, who has struggled a lot this season. They're 7-10-3, and then Pittsburgh on Friday. So these are winnable games. I mean, in the sense of like, I don't think Torts is always looking at the win anyway. I think he's looking at the overall process too. And when I think there have been some games this year where he has coached to win. And I think there have been some games this year he's been just like, okay, it is what it is. And I've been pretty critical of him with the usage of the young guys. And look, I don't hate everything he does. And I don't think he's a bad coach. It's just some of the stuff is a little frustrating. When you're in that type of game like last night, you're 2 seconds away from winning it. You've lost 5 in a row. You didn't really get many looks in overtime to really do anything threatening besides the play late from Provorov, but that was it. And that's the unfortunate part of it is, you had a legit chance to win that one. And look, as much as like, it's not always about like, the wins and the losses, and this is like a development year too. You want to win that game. I mean, you're 2 seconds away from closing it out. Whether they get Bedard or they don't, or they're middle of the pack in the draft lottery, or they're like a couple picks away, that loss and that 1 point, I don't think is going to really matter that much, quite honestly, that they got last night. Like, even if they were to win that game, it's not like everybody would like, oh, we got 2 points. Like, to me, I'd rather see the process, move forward. And when you lose and you constantly lose and lose and lose and lose, it hinders that process anyway. So the Flyers want to break that tomorrow against Calgary. The Flames, again, they are a struggling team at the moment. They're kind of in the middle, like with everybody else. It's weird. There's been a lot of just teams that have just been kind of like in the middle type. Again, the Flyers' upcoming games, you have Calgary on Monday night. You have Washington. That's in Washington. Wednesday night at 7:30. You have the Penguins at home for the Black Friday game on Friday at 5:30, and then you have the Islanders on Saturday. Again, updated list on the injuries for the Flyers, and the total man games lost is now 101. You have Allison, Atkinson, Couturier, Ellis, Konecny, and Van Riemsdyk. That's 101 total games for total man games lost. Some upcoming milestones going into this game. Justin Braun has 197 career points, Morgan Frost with 94 career games, Scott Lawton with 96 career assists, and Ivan Provorov is 2 points away from 200 in his career. All time against the Flames, the Flyers are 61, 44, and 20. As for the season alone, the Flyers have had some good games. They've had some bad games. Last night's game I didn't think was a bad game. I thought there were some good things. Again, the Flyers, they in their last 10 games are 2-5-3. Calgary are 3-5-2. Their next game is Wednesday against the Penguins. Flyers are taking on Washington. So again, a lot of different things coming up. But I think that's it here for tonight on the podcast. Again, thanks again to Mark Recchi, and a big shout out to Bill Meltzer for helping me get that interview set up. I'm hoping to get some more interviews soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks everybody so much. We'll see what the Flyers do tomorrow against Calgary. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Mark Recchi. Thank you, Bill Meltzer, for helping me get that set up. And thanks everybody, because I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for you, 14, 15, 18, whatever, how many people we had in here watching. Always do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.